Good evening. Welcome to the Design Review Board meeting of August 22nd, 2024. The DRB meeting is now called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or place your cell phones on silent at the time. This meeting is being broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum, Cable, Channel 21, and AT&T Uverse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city's website for viewing at any time at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public meetings and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. City's current DRB agendas and staff reports are available by visiting the city's website at www.glendaleca.gov. Record of decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Please note that any appeal of a case heard today must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision. Meetings are also archived, and the appeal application is available online. Moving on to roll call with two members, DRB members, Board Member Chagayan and Board Member Welsh. This will be roll call. Board Member Kaskanian.
Here.
Board Member Simonian.
Present.
And Chair Lockerev.
Present.
Okay. Reports regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the August 22nd, 2024 meeting of Glendale's Design Review Board was posted on the city's website on August 15th, 2024, and on the bulletin board outside City Hall on August 19th, 2024. Moving on to minutes, being that Board Member Kaskanian and Board Member Chagayan were absent last meeting and Board Member Welsh being absent today, the meetings of the last meeting of August 8th will be postponed for the next scheduled DRB meeting.
Correct.
Moving on to oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Design Review Board may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate on decision. I do not believe there are any speaker cards for oral communications, so we're going to move forward with that.
Correct.
Moving on to board and commissioner comments. Do we have any this evening?
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Moving forward, there's no old business. We're going to move on to new business. We have one item this evening. It's regards to a project located at 652 Robin Glen. I'm going to turn over the meeting to our case planner, Eileen Babakani, and she'll provide her presentation.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joe, and good evening, everyone. This is a design review application with a case number PDR 002779-2027 for proposed development located at 652 Robin Glen Drive. The project is proposing to demolish an existing two-story 3,391 square foot house and also all accessory buildings and structure in order to construct a new two-story 9,906 square feet house with a detached 5-car garage and a new pool deck area, and also new detached pool cabana. The project site is approximately 99,000 square feet, which includes 2 adjoining lots with upsloping topography. The site is located in the ROS zone, which stands for Residential Open Space Floor Area Ratio District 3. The average current slope of this lot is about 50 to 60%. And moving forward, I have some photos of the existing condition of the site. And this photo shows the view of the house from the street, and you can see the driveway access to this house on this photo. I would like to mention that staff conducted research, historic preservation staff conducted research and finds that the property is not eligible for historic designation under CEQA. And here you can see the photos. of the front of the existing house after passing the driveway, and then the rear elevation of the house. And what you see on the picture number 3, you see the house from the south side of Robin Glen Drive, with the story pools that shows the layout of the proposed house. Here on this slide, we have views from tennis court. There's a detached tennis court on the site, which will be demolished. And picture number 1 shows the view from the tennis court to the house towards from north to south. Picture number 2 shows the side of the house on the west side, and also the picture of a driveway, existing condition. And also number 4 is the tennis court view from south to north. Here I put side by side the existing condition of the rear of the house and also the proposed rear facade of the new house on this slide. Moving to the site planning of this project. Site planning will not, the project will not change the existing site planning significantly, because the new house and its associate structure and accessory buildings will mostly be located on the existing flat portions of the site. The site has been graded previously in 1977 and 1984. So all the development mostly are happening on the same part, the flat part of the site. The new 2-story house will be, however, closer to the north part of the site by approximately 30 feet. You can see the layout of the existing house, and the blue area is the layout of the proposed house. And the proposed detached 5-car garage will replace the existing tennis court. The proposed pool deck and open patio at the rear of the house will replace the existing pool deck and will be extended by approximately 4,300 square feet toward the south and west side of the site, and it follows the topography of the site. The project proposes new retaining walls, again, in the same location of the mostly existing retaining walls. And the new retaining walls will have white stucco finish, and new landscaping also is proposed to reduce visual impact of the proposed retaining walls. As you notice, the project site does not directly face the street. It is accessed from Robin Glen Drive by approximately 100-foot driveway, this driveway will remain unchanged, except for the driveway finish will be changed to stamped concrete. The site contains one protected oak tree, which will remain on the site. Also, the project will maintain most of the existing landscaping, and also new drought-tolerant landscaping is proposed, which is complementary to the building design and surrounding. The new landscaping, along with the new retaining walls, will help stabilize the soil erosion and any potential runoff of the adjacent properties, mostly located to the east and to the south side of the project site. In terms of the project's mass and scale, the project is located in the neighborhood context of 1- and 2-story homes. The design is in a modern neoclassical architectural style, which is characterized by larger scale, symmetrical forms, simple forms, use of columns and friezes, and also showing more of like blank volumes and walls. The project provides staff believes provides appropriate articulation on the elevation. However, staff is recommending conditions to provide better proportions and avoid the sense of monumentality, and also to minimize visual impact. And the condition is to reduce the overall height for this floor to ceiling height at the first and second floor, and also to reduce the height of the detached five-car garage and the detached cabana. I should mention that the floor-to-ceiling height at the first floor of this new house is 13 and a half feet, and at the second floor, floor-to-ceiling height would be 11 and a half feet. And here I have the design of the proposed garage and also the cabana on this slide. And we have section drawings of this house that shows the relation between the garage and cabana in the section B. And section A shows the relation of the house to the neighboring property to the east. And on the west side, there is no neighboring property. And I have the front elevation and rear elevation of the house here on this slide. The neighborhood average lot size is 3,214 square feet according to the survey, neighborhood survey, and also the average lot size in the neighborhood is 15,782 square feet. The proposed house is almost 9,900 square feet as proposed, on approximately 99,000 square feet of site, which is the largest site in the neighborhood. In relation to the size of the lot, the size of the house seems to be reasonable, and the house size is less than the max, the floor area limit here for this site, which is 11,900 square feet. As I mentioned, the new house and associated building will not directly face any street since the site is located behind the neighboring parcels that face Robin Glen Drive. This itself, along with distances from neighboring properties, landscaping buffers, the new and proposed landscaping buffers, and also the recommended conditions, staff believes with all this will help to reduce the impact of the proposed larger building on the site. The overall height of this house will be 32 feet and 11 inches, which is less than the maximum allowed 35 feet. And here we have the side elevations on this slide. The proposed roof consists of hipped roof with 3 feet and 12 feet pitch, and also flat roof in the center. The roof form reinforces the design concept, and the configuration of the roof is appropriate to the context. Staff believes the exterior design, detailing, and distribution of materials and colors meets the intent of the Hillside Design Guidelines and reinforce the proposed architectural style, which blends into the neighborhood context of various architectural styles in this neighborhood. The design utilizes high-quality materials, which include smooth stucco finish, limestone wall finish, precast molding, and also precast details, clay tiles for the roof, and bronze color aluminum doors and windows, and also wrought iron for the railing, and also for the fence for the driveway gate. The proposed fenestration, as I mentioned, will be dark color aluminum windows with combination of casement and fixed operations with exterior precast sealant trim. The project's extended pool deck and the rear balcony adjacent to the new windows at the second floor do not appear to create any privacy conflict with surrounding neighbors. located to the northeast and to the south due to the site topography, significant distances from the neighboring properties, and also the existing and proposed landscaping buffers. Also, windows from public rooms and outdoor spaces do not have direct views to the adjacent properties. I think I mentioned everything. The new pool equipment, air conditioning units, and trash storage bins are well screened and will be located out of the public view. The roof drainage system here is designed to be internal drainage system. That's why we don't see any outside gutters on this design. And the overall design and material used for the new garage and new detached cabana are appropriate to the overall design concept. Staff did not receive any public comments for this project. At the end, I need to say what is the recommendation for this project. Staff is recommending approval of this project with 2 conditions. Conditions number 1 is obtain required permits from the Maintenance Services Division or Urban Forestry to protect the existing oak tree on the site. The second condition, as I said, reduce the proposed floor to ceiling height at the first and second floor and lower the heights of the garage and pool cabana to provide better proportions and avoid the sense of monumentality, as well as minimize the visual impact. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you for your presentation.
Problem.
I do have a few questions, and I believe my fellow board members do as well. As we're looking at this, you did note several areas where the design guidelines are not being met, and in terms of, I see that you have 1 condition there, but did you discuss any additional conditions with the applicant?
In terms of the overall design of the
Scale and
house?
massing and also, yeah, the overall design of the house. Did you guys have additional comments or
Not at
discussions?
this point, we didn't discuss. When we start the process and taking this application, we ask for some articulation to be provided, but in relation to the proposed architectural style, it seems that more articulation may not be very appropriate to the overall design concept, but maybe the architect can explain
Right,
better.
I can,
Yes.
yeah. And the other thing was, could you walk us through the approach to the house as well, a little
The
bit?
driveway?
The driveway, and yes, thank you. If you could show us where the approach is there.
And then I have to show the site plan here. So
Okay.
there's an existing driveway,
Okay,
which is going to stay in the same location.
okay,
And then it will turn to garage on the right side,
Okay.
which is the north side of the property, and the house on the left side.
okay, that's clear, thank you.
And this is the existing location, this is the location of the existing tennis court, and there's a game room underneath the tennis court. Everything here will be removed,
Okay.
and the garage will be replaced.
And I have one more question, is the retaining walls, how tall are they? And yeah,
The
can you point us
retaining
to
walls, retaining walls mostly are going to be 5 feet for the
Okay.
overall height. There is a little part of this retaining wall, and the retaining walls that is behind the house, if I remember, it was 11 feet in this area and behind the garage. There is some area of the retaining wall, I believe it was this area, I mentioned that to the architect, that is not meeting the requirement of 5 feet, and then she will reduce the height during the plan check process for that to meet the zoning code requirement. But the rest are 5 feet, the maximum height.
Okay. Is that a retaining wall next to the oak tree there?
Existing retaining wall, which
Oh,
will be
got it. I
replaced with.
see.
I
I
think I
see.
have a photo of it. Let me show it to you. Not really on this slide, but it was in the packet for the existing photos of the house.
I see that, okay, thank you.
It's like in this area when you climbed on the stairs,
see.
this area.
Thank you,
Mhm.
thanks. That's all of my questions at the moment. Board, yeah, would you like
Thank
to
you,
say-
Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. It's very helpful for us to understand the big picture because there's 2
Thank you.
lots and it's a big lot. Specifically on the retaining wall matter, I'm looking on sheets C2, the civil drawings, and the entire west portion seems to have the tall retaining wall, as you were pointing out, 8.5 feet up to 15 feet. And I noticed that on C8, there's the existing retaining wall plan, which are double walls. And so you've had that discussion with them? Because I don't think the 10 feet meet code, right? So we would have to have the 2 5-foot.
Unless it is behind
The
a
building.
primary building or accessory structure. So I had this discussion with the architect already
Right.
on that.
And this doesn't qualify for the unless portion, right? Because it's
Yes,
not
for
behind.
that portion which is not behind the house and behind the garage and upsloping part of the site, yes, that wouldn't qualify to meet the zoning requirements. And this has been discussed with the architect and the property owner, and they agreed to correct the drawings for the plan check if this is approved for the design, overall design concept.
And do you know why they're choosing to demolish all the existing retaining walls and rebuild them? Because they're going to end up with a very much same design after, the double retaining walls.
I would say maybe they're not in good conditions, but architect probably can have more information on that matter.
Okay. You mentioned the height of the cabana, and you had it up on the sections, but it was kind of hard to see because of the scale. What is the proposed height of the?
15 feet maximum height is proposed.
And, thank you.
No problem.
I'm looking at the east, well, I'm looking at the renderings as depicted in the 3D rendering sheet that depicts the east side of the house. That's right, what you have up there. Have discussions occurred with the design team in regards to the plainness of that facade, which is really the only visible facade from the street, that east facade? Was that a concern of staff's? Did that come up at any point?
It is proposing, like this facade is proposing 2 different materials. Let me show you the elevations. It would be east facade here. We have
Yes.
limestone and stucco.
I see. Is the hatch portion limestone?
Darker portion, yes. Hatch stone is limestone. And in terms of we like that how the windows are small on this facade, which is the facade which is facing the neighboring property to the east side. I'm not sure if board would like to have any condition.
Well, we could discuss it. There was another, you had a great picture of the story pools as depicted from the street. Yes. And so the existing elevation at the rear, which is the bottom left picture, has a double-story main home, and I'm trying to get a feel for this because it was hard for us to really see it from
Distance?
a distance, but this is very clear. And then the arched portion, that's the one story next to it, is that little bit of roof that's sticking out on the top right. And so with the story poles depicted, it would be basically the whole mass would be going all the way over, even the one-story portion. That's
Yes,
why
that is
I'm
true.
asking about
Yeah, let me show you the layout on the site plan. Here. So this is what is happening. So basically, this is the hatched line here, is the
Yes.
layout of the existing house. The new house would be from here, and this is the covered patio. So that's how the configuration, it's going to be rotated a little bit towards the northwest side, the layout of the proposed house, the footprint of the proposed house. Maybe that's why when they were putting the story poles, they didn't need to have any story poles in this area of the existing house because there's not going to be any new addition or new changes here in this area. The massing would be toward this side of the house and moving
Right.
forward to the north.
Correct. Okay. And the same rendering that you had up
Okay, let's go back to the,
has this barbecue, the top rendering over there has that barbecue outdoor kitchen and that setback area that's right next to the property to its east. Was there was that discussed at all? Because
I'm
they have
not sure
all
if
this room
this
in
is, yeah, I'm not sure even this is on the drawings. Let me make sure that they showed that on the drawings of the
I think
proposed
it was
site
on the
plan.
last one. That one.
Yes, it's not consistently shown on every site plan. So I'm not sure if this is, we didn't have that in the first and second
Oh, I
round
see,
of the
I see.
drawings. This was added, and then probably there are ways to relocate that from that
Mm-hmm.
face on the east side. Let me see why it's not shown on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not shown on the proposed site plan, and I think
You could clarify
Yeah.
with the design team, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
and you know how the rendering are going to be a little bit different than what
Sure.
is actual
There
drawings
always
are.
is, especially on a house this size. And so with the tennis courts, there's a rec room underneath the tennis courts that's being demolished as well.
Yes, which is, if you look at picture number 4, this is the recreation or playroom underneath the tennis court.
I see. So is that view, that flat portion, front of the recreation room on the bottom right? Is
This
that at the
is-
driveway level, or is the
You're
tennis
talking-
court at the driveway level, or is it at a
It
lower?
is not. This is, on picture number 4, you can see the driveway. That's the driveway level. And you have to use the stairs to go to the top of the
I
tennis court.
see. I see. Got it. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Babakani.
No
Thank you.
problem, anytime.
Thank you. Okay, great. And then we'll now open the public portion of the meeting. And I'd like to call forward the architect of the project, and if you can come forward and please state your name. Hi, welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Stephanie Haroche. Oh,
Go.
architect and designer of the project here.
Okay, great, thank you. You may proceed.
Good evening.
So, I'm going to start by probably first answering one of the question of the retaining wall.
Okay.
So the reason why we're replacing the retaining walls, and there's a civil engineer on board right now working with us, as obviously it's outside of my scope of work. So we've been designing this and talking to the team of the civil engineers to work on the retaining walls. The reason why we're changing them is that because we're demolishing the whole tennis court and the recreation room and lowering that whole pad to the finished grade and the same finish floor of the house. So the reason why we're doing that is that we're doing a 5-car garage off of the driveway to the right, and also a main grass area and playground for the kids of the owners, basically, to kind of like give them like a green area besides the backyard and pool area, which is more hardscape area. So yeah.
Thank you. And if, you can present any
Sure.
information you'd like about the
And
project.
thank you so much, Aileen, for this great presentation. You've
No problem.
kind of like, everything I wanted to say has been said, but I will just reiterate a few points. The house is 9,906 square feet on a very big lot, 9,000 square feet, which is only 8% of coverage, of lot coverage. And also to note, there's about 69% of ungraded area on the lot. As Aileen mentioned, the driveway is the unique the really unique point of this project is that the street is well below the actual finished floor of the house. It's about, I want to say, 18 feet from the finished floor to the street level, which gives you kind of like a really private procedure to the house, and basically it's more of a secluded area. So the fact that the house is pretty large in scale, in comparison to the lot, it's not, and also it's not on the street, so it's not overpowering any other house in the neighborhood. We've done a lot of work trying to envision and trying to like really express the vision of the owner, who has a deliberate passion for modern neoclassical architecture. So we've included a lot of Italian and French element to the facade and to the articulation. Yes, we've spoke about multiple times about the massing. At first, it was like a little bit more monumental. We've created those, those niches and those cutouts on the facade, in the front especially. We've also balanced out the arch windows with the French doors, the regular rectangled French doors. We worked on a lot of detailing around the windows and doors. We created like off symmetry on the front, where in one area you can see like a nice little patio off of the bedroom. On the other side, it's more of a Juliet balcony. So we've done some work on the articulation, yes. We're still under the maximum height. Again, this is an open discussion, but we've done, Aileen was amazing throughout the process to give us a great amount of suggestion and back and forth conversation, open conversation. So we've done a lot of massing work on the facade. The back has, if you can see, like it's the second floor is set back from the first floor. We have this beautiful open patio that makes the whole house feel a lot more airy, a lot less monumental. Second floor has this offset from and massing articulation in the second floor, where only the master bedroom is offsetting and the rest of the house is pushed back. We're creating like some nice wood pergolas on either side of the master bedroom, and nice precast columns on the first floor, just holding off the whole facade. So yeah, this is a mix of the stucco and beautiful limestone, precast concrete on all the seals and trims. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the pool cabana is an extension of like the style of the house in a smaller scale. It's an outdoor seating. It has also the same pergola in the front, kind of like communicating with the main house. And the garage is also very cohesive with the rest of the project. Yeah.
Thank you. Do my colleagues have questions? Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the feedback. In regards to the top elevation, so am I understanding it correctly that the lower portion, the first floor will be limestone, and then the second floor will be stucco?
We're actually, if you go to the colored elevation, we're actually showing on the dark brown is the limestone. So we're showing limestone to the right wing, and that covers the whole front of the facade. And then also the lower portion where you have like the kitchen and the dining and all of that, all around will wrap up all around the patio and go all the way around. So it will be like a mix of the stucco, the light cream stucco with the limestone here.
And those are, there's dimensions of 117 inches by 68. I guess they're big panels.
Yeah, and we'll eventually, as you can see on this elevation, the clients like the style of the little division, so we might end up cutting them and have them staggered the way we're showing them.
And in regards to the retaining wall, I mean, it goes from 8.5 feet to 15 feet, so you're going to end up with multiple 5-foot retaining walls along that, so that entire retaining wall will be redesigned on the west side. You're aware of that?
Yeah, we are aware of that. We've been having a long conversation between Aileen, the civil engineer Haney, and myself and the owner. The issue here is that we're lowering the tennis court quite a bit, about 9 feet down. So we will have to, I mean, the civil team and myself will have to redesign this whole corner to make sure we can achieve the retaining walls and sustaining all the dirt.
Okay. And I noticed that on the second floor,
Kind of between grid lines 6 and 7. That portion of the balcony next to bedroom number 5 is looking down onto the property right to its east. Was any consideration given with the vast amount of backyard that's being created, not to create a balcony that overlooks down onto the one-story home directly to its east?
Well, the way that we achieved that privacy is, as Aileen mentioned, we rotated the house. So if you can see on the overlay where we showed the proposed versus the old, yes, here. And you can see it on sheet also A1.10 on the proposed site plan. We're rotating the house towards the view and away from the houses. So by doing so, the balcony is really, you know, when you come out, you will really facing towards the view and not towards the houses.
Yeah, I'm looking at A1.10.
could we put up an aerial of that? Kind of a 2D aerial, or even a 3D, but something that depicts
The property, the 648.
Yes, but we would, can you rotate, I guess if it's rotated 90 degrees clockwise, and then zoomed in to where the pool is of the eastern neighbor? Or Google Earth might allow it too.
Well, while staff is doing that, I could ask some more questions here. And then also, similarly, next on that east property line is where you have that exterior kitchen and all your HVAC condensers, et cetera, as depicted on 1.10. Any particular reason why that's not being placed on the western side, where you're completely away from the property next door, especially with the size that's being proposed here? Because those air conditioning units are going to be running the whole time on a house this big.
The trash is
Not so
right.
much the trash.
Yeah, it's right off the kitchen. That's why we put it there. And also we created this little cutout right behind the staircase. So we thought it would be a good area to hide the AC units and screen them. It's also because on that side we have like a side concrete pad. So there's like a sidewalk, like a little side yard concrete pad that would lead you directly from the front yard to the rear yard. So for any maintenance issue, anything, we felt like this was more comfortable. But again, if we can relocate the AC units to the other side, there's no particular objection to this in terms of aesthetic. There was just a little niche there, and we thought that would be a good area to just hide everything in there and screen it.
Okay, understood. I think,
I have the aerial view.
Yes, if you would, Ms. Babakani, zoom in a bit more Yeah, and then maybe minimize the screen on the left side. If you could just hit that arrow on the left side. Well, yeah. Then you could zoom in a bit more. Yeah. Yeah, because the way I'm reading it is that balcony is looking right into that pool. And those bedrooms are looking right into that pool as well. Well,
Well,
the windows have been minimized, but the balcony certainly is. Okay.
It's tilted, the house is tilted.
I
this way,
realize,
yeah.
but it's tilted towards the pool versus the, still looking at it.
No, it's tilted towards the right side, not towards the pool.
Well, if you bend your neck a little bit, you'll see the pool.
Yeah,
So,
but the whole intention was, that's why we actually rotated the whole house. is
Understood,
To go, to
understood.
be away from.
and any particular reason of a 15-foot cabana in the back? I mean, you're trying to eliminate the sun from hitting people sitting underneath it. When it's 15 feet up in the air, you're not blocking any sun. It's just, everything is going in. So I know it looks monumental and chic, but how practical is a 15-foot high cabana to try to block sun?
I mean, I honestly think that they have a very large patio that will be a cool and shaded area. This area was more, again, like as an architectural standpoint, we felt like 15 feet would be more relevant to mimic the conditions of the house, because it's, it's the patio is higher, so we wanted to make sure that everything is aligned. The fascia is aligned, all of the decoration is all in the same line. Yeah, so,
Okay. And the window, what sort of windows are you proposing?
we're using ionized aluminum windows, bronze finish.
Aluminum windows? I don't think you can.
Ionized,
I don't think aluminum will pass Title 24.
sorry, ionized, where was that? I'm looking at my window schedule.
Madam Chair.
We have
and-
metal frames, sorry.
Madam Chair and members of the board, we do have a speaker card and a person on the phone. If we can allow them to speak their comments, and we can take this all comprehensively, we will definitely give the applicant and yourselves to ask the applicant some questions, but I do want to open up the other portions, and we can definitely take those comments in consideration as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ask further questions
Afterwards, yes.
Once
The architect was presenting, so
Right.
I was.
No,
asking.
absolutely. Yeah, as a friendly reminder.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
So-
thank you.
Okay. What sort of windows are you?
Metal.
Metal, okay. So it's not aluminum, but metal. Well, those are my questions for now.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you. I don't have questions at this time, but do you have any?
I was actually going to ask one question for the tennis court. I know that's not in our purview, right? It's not. I don't see it anywhere, because if it's going to be demolished from what I'm looking at the drawings. But is there any specific, is it? We're moving the tennis court to a whole different area. It's not going to be as big. No tennis court at
tennis
all.
court.
Okay, so no tennis court at all. Okay, just a driveway.
Yeah.
I mean the garage.
The
sorry.
garage.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
All right, and one more clarification in addition to that. So the garage design is not in our packet that we've received. So I'm just to clarify, is that's a separate review? Maybe that's more of a staff question.
It
but
is
do you-
actually on page A4.01A.
Maybe I missed it. I guess I'm. Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss it. I apologize. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And now, Will, do you have any further questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you, and you'll get a moment to rebut any comments made at the end. And now I'd like to call forward a neighbor who would like to speak. And if you could please come forward and state your name.
Thank you. I'm Ann Demore, and this is Kim Kaiser.
Welcome.
We're the owners of 648, the house that's directly below this project. Aileen, can you go to slide 8? to give an idea of where we sit. So our house is on the east side of this easement, the driveway, here, and then on that east side of the large house.
This house, right?
Yes, that's us
Okay.
there. This space here is a slope, so it's not flat, and you can't even really walk on it. It's pretty steep. And then there's a slope here. Along this wall and this is a chain link fence that serves as the retaining wall. Along
Yeah,
the-
please come in and speak at the
On the
microphone.
east
Thank
side
you.
and
Yep.
along the left side of the driveway, there's a chain link fence that serves as the retaining wall. And we are constantly receiving the 562 dirt and debris in that chain link fence, and it's starting to bow. So it's really not a sustainable surface, and you talked about the different retaining walls. My request is that we look at that as look at the retaining wall there for 562. There's one on the plateau where the house will be, but there's this lower slope needs to be retained as well, so that the 652 soil stays on 652 and doesn't run into our house. That's a safety concern for our home. The privacy concern, I think you addressed it, Art, when you talked about the balcony and the condensers. Those are on our side of the house. It will be very noisy, and of course, I'll be able to see whatever we're doing. Today, you can't see it because there are some trees there, and the house is one story. But when you bring it up to a second story of 11-foot ceiling, it's going to be pretty visible what we do in our yard. So that's the privacy concern. The other piece of it is if there are several trees along the driveway and several trees along the east side. If those are removed, it will cause more instability with the soil on that slope, causing it to move more into our yard. We've already increased 2 times the cinder block height in the past 4 years that we've had the house to be able to manage that soil. We had intended to talk with the owner, but it doesn't seem that there's a common present owner in the house. I'm sure somebody owns it, but we haven't been able to do that. So since this project is quite massive and inclusive, to me, it makes sense to include this retaining walls at the lower end, at the property line, to be able to help sustain the soil where it is. Kim, anything you want to say?
I believe she would need a speaker card separately, so, but.
We will allow
but-
her to speak, but then if she can fill out with a separate speaker card.
It's the same address.
Okay,
So-
and yeah, one at a time, please. So, yeah, but thank you very much. Okay,
Do you have any questions?
thank you.
I think for us, the biggest challenge has been that those trees provide privacy, so
I'm
being.
sorry, can you state your name?
Kim Kaiser.
Thank you.
I also live at the 648 address.
Great, thank you.
Our challenges really are the visibility from the slope, and when you see the new flagging, it's extraordinarily visible from our property and feels really imposing, as well as the thought of needing to look up all the time at a very large, appreciate the 2 tones of plaster and limestone, but still seems to be a very overbearing structure, fairly close to the property line, and in really line of sight would be hard to cover with trees. And then the same goes for the driveway as you exit the property there. Those would be the main things. And then any sound noise from air conditioning units, et cetera. Our main bedrooms are right on the backside of the house there, and as well as being able to keep windows open during summer, et cetera, and needing to listen to someone's air compressor, it would be challenging. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I believe you mentioned we have callers as well.
Do have one caller, yes.
Okay, great. If we can hear from them.
Good evening, Ms. Carl. You're with the Design Review Board for the proposed project at 652 Robin Glen. Please state your name.
My name is Carol Jeroyan. I live at 651 Robin Glen Drive, directly across the street from the driveway to 652. I have 2 areas of general concern. One is the size, the other is the usage. The size of the home. I understand the owner has the acreage and the right to build a home of any size. But my question to you as homeowners, is the size and scope compatible with the aesthetics of this neighborhood and this street? The home is massive. And to me, the answer is clearly no. It is three times the size of the existing home. I'm reminded weekly by the city about the amount of water and electricity I use compared to my neighbors. Also, I receive phone calls about peak hours of usage. Why? To conserve. Yet this massive home will be using these resources abundantly. In 1992, some of you probably weren't even around then, I remember the El Tovar home in Glendale. It is legendary. It became an embarrassment to the city management because it started out as a 10,000 square foot home. And with repeated change orders, it grew to nearly 15,000 square feet. The result was the creation of your board to assure it never happened again. So I sincerely hope this project will not grow and have proper oversight. My second concern is the usage of the home. While we assume the owner will actually reside in the home, he can really do whatever he wants. But during the past years that he has owned the home, it has been used as a rental, and renters have used it as a party house. Just 2 weeks ago, a group was still partying on Robin Glen until past 4 a.m., and the police had to be called. Another time, cars were triple parked on the street so that the police could not access the home and had to use helicopters to disperse the partiers. Additionally, I'd like to know from the architect what the proposed length of time will be to complete the construction of the home and the project. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers?
We do not have any other callers.
Okay, great. Then I'll call the applicant back to the podium, and you have a chance to address any of the items that were raised, and we may have a few more questions. Thank you.
Aileen, could we just go to the landscape plan for a second? Thank you. So, as you can, like, if you look at the landscape plan, I think the landscape architect did a great job for adding a lot of the trees between the neighbor and the proposed project. So there's going to be a good amount of landscaping in this area to create a buffer zone between the proposed project and the neighbor below. That also can help also with screening the AC units and the trash. I understand that the AC units might be conditions we can relocate them. That's not an issue. But at least they've done an amazing job screening the house with a lot of trees and landscaping to minimize the monumentality of that project, even though it's just a 2-story, just like the other homes. I understand it's bigger than the other homes, but the lot is also 3 or 4 times the lots. And as far the other question, I mean, as far as, I mean, I didn't know about the parties going on in the house. Obviously, I'm just the architect, so I'm not part of this. But I do know that the client has multiple kids, and his intention is to move into the house. He's been waiting for it for a long time. It's his dream home. He has kids. They're family-oriented people, not party people. That's for sure. Yeah.
Length of time?
Oh, in terms of, I'll address that. The length of time isn't part of the purview of the design review board, so they can talk separately about that. Yeah, thank you. Do you have any other further comments, or, and do we have questions? Do you have further questions? Board Member Simone?
Yes.
One, and the landscape architect has provided 8 trees on the east side. However, these are shrubs, you know, when you look at seat L2, the Toyon are, you know, it's this one. It's a shrub. So I think the intent is to get like a tree like a melaleuca or something that grows long and tall, you know, something that with a 30-foot kind of a height.
Just want to make sure also that the roots are not too imposing in that
Yeah.
area.
Well, I'm sure the landscape architect could figure some out, but the idea is not to put shrubs. And the melaleuca, it's not like a ficus or anything like that, but shrubs could be appropriate, you know, if you're trying to shed an 8-foot kind of a building, 6-foot. But when you're talking about what you have going, it will not shield it. Just FYI, I wanted to bring that up to your attention. But I don't have any more comments. I think I understand what's being proposed fairly well. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions at this time.
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay. And now I will close the public portion of the hearing and open things up for deliberation on the board. Would you like to start, or? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, sure. I'll start, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for presenting this. I feel as though the presentation really helped me understand this long flag lot in a sense, because it's so far away from the street, and all the diagrams you had and visuals really does portray and illustrate what's front of us, at least. In regards to the house and the style of it and the design of it, the design is true to itself. I mean, it's well designed in as far as the look and feel of it. You know, the materials are of high quality. The proportionality of the design itself in a vacuum. Like if you just take the elevations and look at them in a vacuum, you would say, well, that's kind of appropriate. And yeah, and I mean, if it was on a 40-acre, 100-acre lot in Tuscany, where you have to drive 20 minutes from the dirt road to get to it, it's very different. But what's front of us is to assess it and to talk about it within the context of a built neighborhood. At the same time, it's the biggest lot in the neighborhood, and of course, big homes are expected on a lot of this size. I don't know, all the years that I've been on this board, it's not often, it's very rare that we get a 10,000 square foot home. Once in a blue, well, not even a blue moon. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of having a 10,000 square foot home come in front of us, although if it's come forward, it's certainly gone back and forth many, many times. 5,000, 6,000 square feet homes are considered big in Glendale standards. 10,000 square foot lots are, 10,000 square foot homes are, I would say, on the big side. That said, we have a long driveway that comes to it, and there is a lot of space to try to fit a big home onto this site. But the hammer shape of the lot, where half the lot is on the right side, half the lot's on the left side, like a hammerhead, it could be the biggest lot, but it's really 2 lots that were combined. So you go up a driveway, you have 1 lot on one side, you have another lot on the other side. So yes, it is big combined, but they weren't really meant as one big lot. It was two lots that someone bought and put a rec room and a tennis room on one side. And so now we're completely, not, the right side isn't being utilized, whereas if they were both next to each other and you move this home kind of where it is on the western side, but then it's almost like the property next to it, who's here this evening, that would have been the empty portion. They would have been, if this was here, it would have been one big lot between them. But again, that's not what is the reality of it. And so I do agree with staff that the house is big and a lot of houses being pushed onto this lot. The heights certainly can be reduced to reduce monumentality. So I do agree there. I think 13.5-foot first floor and 11.5-foot second floor is monumental. We have had these kind of discussions about 11-foot clears, and now we're talking about a 13.5-foot with a 10,000 square foot home. So yes, I think that's spot on to reduce those. I feel as though the cabana in the rear is certainly not a practical cabana. At a 15-foot height, it's not going to block any sun. It's there, as you pointed out, because it fits, and it fits and matches the size of the home. But if the home is too big, then the cabana is certainly too big as well. So I think the height of the cabana should be reduced as well. The balcony on the south side, specifically between those grid lines that next to bedroom number 5, between grid lines 6 and 7, I feel as though is very much intruding on the privacy of the neighborhoods, and it's really not appropriate to place it there. We've said similar comments on many, many different projects that have come in front of this board. Then the argument's going to be, well, if you take it out on the right side and you keep it on the left side, it won't look symmetric and it won't match the style. And well, that's true, but maybe you remove it on the left side as well between grid lines 1 and 3 and incorporate a roof in that area of some sort, a mansard or something, while still keeping the patio below, because a covered patio is practical below. But that second floor is it's not a practical thing. It's, even if it's there, even if it's furnished, it's rarely going to be used. Just when you have all that below, you're not going to use it as much, and ends up being one big dusty area. Because by the time you come out to clean it, to utilize it for your coffee, it's already time for you to go and do whatever you're going to do that day. So it's a romantic notion, but very impractical in a sense. And we've seen projects with it because they don't have the space downstairs. But when you have the space downstairs, I think it is too much of an ask. As indicated, I feel as though there is plenty of space on the west side to relocate the HVAC condensers. On a home this size, they're going to be running all the time, and also the outdoor kitchen onto the west side. It looks like it's already, could easily be graded, and if not, it already has a finished floor of 120, which is identical to the south side as the west side, so it certainly could move there, and I think it should. As far as the retaining walls on the east side, their heights are minimal, 3.5 feet. Staff had it up. That's a civil discussion, whether it should be extended to minimize dirt from coming over onto this lot to the next, but we could certainly make that a condition for the civil to look into that. But I feel as though those hedges absolutely need to be replaced, those 8 trees as proposed on the east side, with something tall. And you could work with the staff to identify a non-intrusive root system that would give the height. Even a Ligustrium hedge grows as tall as 20, 25 feet. You could plant them 20 inches on center and provide a nice hedge over there as well. So that's a possibility as well. As far as an appropriate clear heights, maybe 11 and a half feet, we could discuss it on the first level, 9.5 feet on the second level. That would reduce some of the monumentality. I think and the reason why I am kind of supporting the overall site plan and the shape of it without conditioning on it, because looking at the program on the lower level, the kitchen is facing the neighbor, the big pantry is facing the neighbor, and very two small windows of the bedroom in the front. So the architect has taken steps to minimize privacy concerns, and so for that reason, I feel as though that home could be placed where it's placed. And on the second floor, similarly, windows are really for the bathroom, the playroom, and they're tiny windows
Sorry.
versus the big windows are looking the other way. So for that gesture, because that was thought out, the location of the home could be argued as appropriate after the reduction of height and mass, as staff recommended. The retaining walls on the west side, they certainly don't meet code, and staff already pointed that out. They're going to have to be double retaining walls to accommodate zoning. And if they choose to demolish it and do it, then they're going to have to spend that money. But that's a tremendous cost to demolish those existing retaining walls and rebuild them to the tune of several $100,000. But that's what they would like to do. It's better because they're stabilizing the hillside. So those would be my overarching comments, you know, as far as the big picture is concerned. To then, of course, we could have some further discussions as I see my colleague has started with specifics of style and detailing, to see if we're ready to move this tonight with conditions or else. But those would be some of my thoughts, Madam Chair.
You're good. I said. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you for coming out as well, and addressing your concerns. The callers as well, thank you for calling. Yeah, so I think when I first started, there was a house that was like really massive too. And, you know, we had taken it back for redesign, and they brought it back, and it turned out really nice. This one, of course, is a special case. I think, like you said, it is on 2 lots. The house is, you know, pretty big. Yes, it is pretty big. But there is those 2 lots that you all are working with, but they are 2 separate lots, as Art did point out. Overall, I think, you know, it did remind me of like a summer trip to Italy going up. So I think it would be really nice for, you know, the individual who wants this house. If that's what they're going for, I think you all hit it spot on with that. And if that's what they'd like, you know, I'm all in support of that. I think you all did a great job, though, as far as like, you know, how it portrays and how it looks. So thank you for that, and the presentation as well from staff. Couple things to point out. I do think that, you know, it does look very monumental, and there with staff's conditions that they brought up with reducing the height. I think that is something that needs to be done, especially if it's going to be, you know, it's going to be something that everyone's going to potentially see, especially driving up there. And as the neighbors did address, you know, it's not something that is, you know, going to be pleasant for them to like have someone look down onto their house as well, especially if there's those balconies, you know, that's going to be looking straight into their pool, for example, in this case. So I think that I'm in agreement with staff on that. In regards to the air compressor for the, you know, the AC, I do think that does need to be moved to the west side. It shouldn't be, it's not fair for the neighbors who have been there for a while too to have to hear that, unfortunately. I am in a case where I have to hear that, so, it's not, it's not pleasant. So if we can catch that from the beginning, definitely would like that. The pool cabana as well, definitely need to lower the height of that too, especially because it's going to be the one that's like right there as you see it. So I'm in agreement of lowering that to something that is more practical. The hedges on the east side, would work with the landscape architecture and see, what you all could do to increase that privacy over there. Shrubs are not going to do anything, so the hedge is definitely going to be the one to help. Yeah, I think that's what I had so far. Yeah, pretty much, and I concur with a lot of what Board Member Simonian also brought up, and hear what Madam Chair would have to say as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for all the speakers. I went by the site and I saw the story poles, and I think they were actually even more dramatic than what I saw in the photographs there. It does come off as very massive, and I think I was a little jarred by that. And I think we've seen large projects, and I would say I'm not opposed to large homes on big sites at all. We've definitely approved large homes, maybe not quite this large, but I think there are a lot of tools that you can use to break down massing that I would love to see happen to be able to meet the design guidelines in Glendale. And so, you had mentioned, the staff had mentioned bringing down the height, for instance. I think another element that wasn't addressed was just the following the contours of the site, for instance. I think that it could have been, the monumentality could be helped if, for instance, it stepped up as you drive up the hill, if it steps up a little bit. I think there are a lot of tools that you could utilize, and maybe we need to talk about what we want to see in terms of conditions to help achieve that. And then, of course, the front door is pretty monumental, and articulation, particularly on the side yards, which are actually the more dominantly viewed yards, would be really beneficial because it does just feel like a massive wall, which I appreciate that partly why you're doing that is for privacy reasons. You want to have smaller windows and not look onto the neighboring property, but yeah, thank you. That view is very helpful. Just that's the main view. As you drive up the street, you could see it from down below quite large, and so I do think that something needs to be done to break down the massing on that side as well, maybe stepping up, and maybe perhaps your concern about the deck, Board Member Simonian, could be addressed with that, if that deck was removed on that corner and then it terraced up a little bit. From that side, I think it would help with the massing and for the neighbors' privacy concerns as well, if the second floor is stepped back. Yeah, I'd say, appropriate articulation of height, to not just articulating in and out, but of height of the roofs is not present currently. Yeah, no, I'd say I agree with my fellow board members that we've sometimes seen larger houses come through first and then they come back and then they're gorgeous. So my inclination is bringing it back for a redesign with some additional conditions, and it would be a matter of us agreeing on what those conditions might be if to break down the massing. And then, yeah, just so it appears less boxy and kind of prominent on top of that hill. So relating to the topography was one, variation in roof heights, and then the gazebo structure, and I'm in agreement that it's out of scale. And if you are starting to terrace a little bit on, then perhaps the gazebo structure doesn't seem as out of place, being at a different height as well. I'm trying to think if there are any other items. I appreciate the comments regarding sound and noise. I think moving the HVAC I agree with that condition. I agree with the condition Board Member Simoni mentioned about changing the tree selection to help with privacy concerns and sound yeah, just overall neighborhood compatibility was just a concern for me on this project. So I'd love to open it up for further discussion with everyone in terms of what those more specific conditions are.
Well, it seems as though, we all have similar concerns about the
Right.
monumentality and the
Correct.
boxiness, and so maybe an overarching condition where and of course, the relocation of the HVAC and the exterior kitchen and all those could be very specific,
Right.
but an overarching kind of a condition of to return for redesign, but with a focus of a less boxy design,
Yes.
where variation of roof types are incorporated, while stepping back the second floor
From the rear, right?
from the east side.
From the east
From,
side.
yeah, as you're driving up, to go with the topography, I'm sorry to interject. Yeah.
And also elimination of the second floor balcony, all with the intent of eliminating monumentality as perceived from the street. Something of that, and we could
That
work
sounds
on,
great.
we could work on that wording, but
Right.
yeah,
Right, that sounds great.
yeah, something like that.
With a, and I'd say with a particular focus on that specific facade that's so highly visible.
Visible from the east.
Correct, yeah.
And staff's comment, condition of 2 could still stay
Correct.
as worded.
Right,
Which was for reduce the height for the garage, reduce the height for the cabana, and reduce the floor to ceiling heights at the first and second
That
floor.
could stay as a separate condition. And maybe a new condition as well, where relocate the HVAC condensers and the exterior kitchen from the east side to the west side.
Sure.
correct. And a condition about the vegetation, I'd say.
I will go over the conditions
Right.
before we
Yeah.
make
Okay.
a motion.
Where landscape architect to replace the 8 24-inch trees on the east side with some
Tall landscaping.
drought-tolerant tree that will grow tall to minimize privacy issues. And then you guys could pick whatever you think is appropriate at that point. And then the west retaining walls to be redesigned, so
Right.
they're within zoning code.
For that, we had a concern about the overall height of retaining walls and deck in some areas may not meet the zoning code, which I already discussed this with the owner and architect. I would say maybe we will add a condition to make sure that everything that is coming back to us in terms of the deck height, the height of the deck and retaining walls are going to meet the zoning code.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And there was the item about the retaining wall at the front as well. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's within our purview to,
The east retaining wall
Correct.
to extend it to minimize soil runoff from one property
Right.
to the other. And maybe to also design the eastern property line retaining walls to eliminate soil runoff onto the adjoining property.
and then a comment maybe regarding the deck. That I don't know if it wasn't in terms of privacy, there was a comment regarding the deck.
Yeah.
The balconies.
The balconies, you got that, okay.
Do you mind if I go over the comments so far
Sure,
that
that
we
would be
had?
great.
And then
That
if
would be
there's
helpful.
anything missing, you can remind me and I can add. So So the height, the conditions that staff are recommending are going to stay, so I'm not going to repeat those. Balconies, just to be clear, on this corner balcony on the east side, only this portion will be eliminated,
Correct.
and the rest can stay
If they choose to keep it.
if they choose to keep
Right.
it. Relocate, yes, go ahead.
No, that's fine, yeah. It's up to them.
And relocate the HVAC unit and also the outdoor kitchen area to the west side of the property. To redesign the retaining walls or to add retaining walls, whatever works according to the civil engineer on the east side of the property to eliminate the runoff, any potential runoff. To replace the proposed shrubs on the east side of the new house with taller and drought-tolerant landscaping or trees. And
That will grow tall.
that will go tall. And there was a comment about providing more height variation for the roof. Is it something that
Yes.
you want to consider?
Yeah.
I think we all,
Yeah,
we're
I
all in
think
agreement.
there was an overarching condition to redesign to have a less boxy
Right. And,
feel,
right.
perhaps by incorporating a variation of roof types and stepping back the second floor.
Altogether can be one condition.
That's right, that's right. It's,
Yeah, and I think with the goal of, that the former profile follows the topography more and,
to be more in line with the existing topography of the site.
correct.
To be more in line and step back.
And
with
step
the-
back with the
yeah.
topographies, yeah, correct. Which
Okay.
will also give breathing room to the neighbor. Yeah, right.
And that was for the overall design or only the facades that are visible or visually impacting the neighborhood?
I'm okay with just the ones that are visible from the
Right.
street.
Yeah, but much is quite visible, but I'd say
right.
that's the main facade is that east.
The east
Yeah,
one.
Correct,
The east, right?
yeah.
Particularly the east facade. Maybe I can write the condition to say
Yeah,
that.
stepping back from the east facade, correct.
And overall, to look again of all these proposed retaining walls and deck to make sure that they're going to meet the zoning code.
And there, in regards to that, there was an overall comment that you stated quite well about, the board member Simonian stated quite well about reducing the boxiness. And I think that, I was just realizing that could also be materials that could assist that. There are some differentiation. but
Variation of the
variation
materials can help
could
also?
assist.
Okay.
Right. Could be a variation of roof type, stepping back the second
Yeah.
floor, or variation of materials,
Right.
all
Right,
utilized at the same time to create a less boxy feel.
Or provide more articulation.
Yeah.
articulation, there are so many
step
tools,
Mhm.
correct, yeah.
backs. We are okay with the overall proposed exterior materials that we see right now.
I mean, they seem of high quality. I would just itemize that the windows, the drawings indicate aluminum windows, but applicant indicated it'd be metal windows. But either way, it should be something that.
Clarification on the materials.
Right, but something that will pass Title 24, because
Okay.
aluminum will not.
Right.
That's the problem.
Correct. Yeah, I think the quality of the materials is fine. I was thinking more along the lines of maybe the color variation between them, or a little bit of distinction would help to break down the volume.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the limestone is so similar to
It
the
is too
stucco.
similar, right.
Whereas, and if you had two very
Right.
different materials, you would actually have variety.
Okay, between the exterior material. I believe I covered everything with
Yeah, that
couple
sounds like-
additional conditions like you
We're in
mentioned.
agreement
Yep.
on the conditions? Great, thank you.
And the motion will
Do we
be
have a motion?
returned for design.
Yep, so, motion to move forward with the set conditions for redesign?
Okay.
Second it.
Okay, this will be roll call. Board Member Kaskanian,
Yes.
Board Member Simonian,
Yes.
and Madam Chair Lockruff.
Yes,
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Moving on to Community Development Department updates. The department does not have any, and the only next step would be to have a motion to adjourn. If
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.